In this video, I will be briefly giving very early predictions for the 2030 World Cup as far as where I see the 48 participants of this 2026 World Cup in 4 years' time. So this is a unique sort of video here idea. Instead of giving you who I think will qualify, what the field of 48 teams will be and all that, I'm going to tell you how I think all the national teams who participated in this most recent tournament, how they will fare in 4 years' time, whether they will make the cut and how far they will go. So let's just jump right in. This is a fun idea. Starting off with the United States, I think that we will qualify for the 2030 World Cup and we will get to the round of 16. That seems to be, in the last 20 years or so, just about this side's ceiling. I would love for us to go a step further and get to the quarters, but we're not hosting it this time. World Cups for the United States held in Europe, this being in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, and inaugural games in South America. History is against the U.S. going on a deep run, but I think that this team has firmly cemented itself as the type of side that will get to the knockout stages, probably win one KO game, and then bow out after that. So I'm going to go with round of 16 for the USA in 2030. I actually don't think Curacao will qualify. I think that Concacaf spots will be taken by other teams. Big respect to them for qualifying for this World Cup in 2026, the small overseas Dutch territory in the Caribbean of 160,000 people, getting that historic, famous first point ever as they did against Ecuador. I just think Concacaf, you're going to see a revival of certain Central American sides for the 2030 cycle. I don't think Curacao will qualify. I do not think Haiti will qualify either. Canada will qualify for 2030, but they will go out in the round of 32. I think they will do enough to get out of the groups. They will not win a knockout stage game like they did in 2026, however. Likewise, I think Mexico will get to the round of 32. I think this last World Cup put a little bit of a mirage over where exactly Mexican football is right now, a temporary distraction. They got the boost of a host nation in 2026, but it papered over some real problems that saw them crash out in 2022, issues with the Mexican Federation, the lack of promotion relegation, a lot of problems with developing young players. I don't think that Mexico has really turned the page in the last year or so. They did well enough to get themselves organized for 2026, and they ultimately finished as the highest CONCACAF side. But I don't think this is necessarily Mexico turning a new leaf and getting into that next generation. I think the short-term path for Mexico is kind of dark. But round of 32 is what I'm going to say for now. I do not think Panama will qualify for 2030. I think that there is too much competition now at the youth level coming through via their rivals with Honduras and possibly with Guatemala as well. So a little bit of a surprise, but I think Panama will miss out. Japan will reach the quarterfinals of 2030. It has to happen eventually. It should have happened the last three editions, honestly, 2018 going into 2026, but it has to happen. Football is exploding in this country. It is growing very rapidly. I don't think it'll happen under Hajime Moriyasu because he's going to leave after this upcoming Asian Cup, but Japan has to reach a World Cup quarterfinal within the next two cycles. They have to. This is a bit of a bold prediction here. I could see Saudi Arabia failing to qualify. This team has been in a rut lately, and they might need a setback before hosting the tournament 4 years later in 2034 themselves. I'm a big believer that sometimes you need a bit of a sign. You need a little bit of to go through bad times in order to rise up stronger. 2026 World Cup was not They did as well as they could given the abrupt managerial change, but I don't know. I think Saudi Arabia, if they get to 2030, it's going to be another group stage exit, but I could see them missing out altogether. Iran will qualify for 2030, and they will advance past the group stages for the first time ever. Finally, it is going to happen in 2030. I feel like we say this every edition, and it never happens, but it's going to happen eventually. The cards will have to go in their favor at one point or another. Round of 32 for Iran. You know what? Actually, if Iran gets past the group stages in 2030, if they qualify, I think they'll win a knockout stage game too. So here's a bold one. Round of 16 for Iran. Australia will qualify, and I think it'll be a repeat of 2026 here. They'll do enough to get out of the groups, but they will bow out in the round of 32. I think that Iraq will... See, it's tough. It's 50-50 whether they'll qualify. But I'll say they qualify. I don't think they get out of the group stages, but possibly with an easier group than what they had in 2026, which was one of the groups of death, they may get a point. I don't know about a victory, but they may get a draw or two in 2030. I do not think Qatar will qualify for the next World Cup. I think this generation's cycle and the usage of dual nationals and naturalizing citizens to become Qatari, I think it will run its course. Everything has an expiration date. I think Qatar will miss out on the next World Cup to make way for other rising Asian sides, maybe in Indonesia, maybe a UAE or a Kuwait. We'll see. South Korea will qualify for the 2030 World Cup, and they will get to the round of 32. That is my prediction. Uzbekistan will qualify for the 2030 World Cup. They will win a game. But it will not be enough to advance to the round of 32. Here's one for you. Jordan will qualify, and I think they will advance past the group stages. I was impressed by what I saw from them at this World Cup. They were just lacking some experience and know-how in defending set pieces, but they were very threatening going forward. They scored goals in all their games in 2026. I think they'll be back and a better version of themselves in 4 years' time. They will get out of the group. They will advance to the round of 32. The DR Congo will qualify for back-to-back World Cups. I actually think this time, just a gut feeling, in 2030, they will not advance past the group stages, which they did do in 2026, and they nearly knocked out England and made it to the round of 16. I thought they had a very impressive, hard-fought World Cup in North America. They held Portugal back, they played Colombia close, almost upset England. Something just tells me they're going to get a tough group in 2030, and they'll finish in fourth place. But it won't be an embarrassing fourth place. It'll just be an elimination group stage. Don't hate me for this. I predict things based on my gut feeling and what I think is going to happen and being analytical, not what I want to happen. I actually don't think Cape Verde is going to qualify. And the reason for that is 90% Africa's tough. And if it stays at 48 teams for 2026, that's a big if, because if it goes to 64 teams, that radically alters early predictions for all these teams here that played in 2026. But it's just Africa has other sides that missed out, like Nigeria and Cameroon and Mali and Burkina Faso, really decent teams. 10 African sides played at this most recent World Cup, and you still had strong sides miss out. It's nothing against Cape Verde. I'm not really underestimating them. It's just very hard to qualify from Africa, and I don't know if they'll do it for lightning will strike twice. I don't think they'll qualify. Egypt will qualify for 2030. I think we'll get out of the group again, but if I'm being honest, I don't see a repeat run to the round of 16. I think that it'll be round of 32 exit. We'll get out of the group. We'll lose that first knockout stage match, probably against a European side. La Côte d'Ivoire, who reached the round of 32 this time around, their first time ever progressing out of the group stages of a World Cup. Well, they're going to do it again in 2030, and I think they'll go one step further and be one of the best performing African sides, because I have Côte d'Ivoire winning their round of 32 game and going out in the round of 16. Although Morocco are one of the co-hosts for 2030, I actually think they'll have a round of 16 exit. Semifinals in 2022, quarters in 2026. They won't run into France for a third time in a row, but I just think that this team is going to be 4 years older. And at the youth level, yes, they have a promising side coming up through the CAF zone, but it's just really hard to maintain this level of consistent performance when you're not a powerhouse nation across back-to-back-to-back World Cups. It'll be a respectable round of 16 exit. They'll get out of the group. They'll win the first knockout stage game. They may even come close to reaching the last 8 again, but I think they'll just come out in the round of 16. Just a gut feeling. I don't think South Africa is going to qualify for the next World Cup in 2030. I am not confident Tunisia will qualify for this upcoming World Cup. This is a difficult team to really get a pulse on. Things are looking dire for Tunisian talent production. I could see them missing out. Before making a comeback in 2034. I'm going to say Tunisia will not qualify. Ghana will qualify for 2030. They will get out of the group again, like they did in 2026, and I think they'll win a knockout stage game and get to the round of 16. I actually think Ghanaian football is in the process of overturning a new leaf. It'll be slow. I want to see how they do in the next couple of AFCONs in 2027 and 2028, but I think Ghana has a lot to smile about going forward. It may take some growing pains to get there, but I'm going to say Ghana gets to the round of 16 in 2030. Algeria will qualify for 2030, but I don't think they get out of the group this time like they did this summer. The sun is going to set on this Senegalese side eventually. It will. I don't know if 2030 will be when that happens, because I do think Senegal will qualify. There's just too much quality. And I do think they'll get out of the group stages, and they will bow out again in the round of 32, in my opinion. New Zealand will qualify from Oceania. It'll be the first time they've qualified for back-to-back World Cups in their history. And here's a prediction. The All Whites will make it out of the group stages for the first time ever. You heard it here first. I think it is going to happen. A lot of promise from this 2026 run. I think they can get a win in the group stages and get out of the group possibly as a third place side. It's happening. New Zealand is going to make it out of the group stages in 2030. The Netherlands will qualify for 2030, and I think they will have a much better run than this summer. They will get to the quarterfinals before bowing out, probably in extra time or on penalties. A quarterfinal finish for the Dutch. Germany is not going to win the World Cup in 2030, but they will qualify, and if Jurgen Klopp is at the helm, I could see them putting to bed the ghosts of the last 3 tournament disappointments and having their deepest run since 2014. I have Germany making the semifinals. I think there is a lot of potential here. There's some young guys coming up through the ranks. Nagelsmann played it safe with his roster selections, or in his mind, safe at least, for World Cup 2026. I think Klopp is going to revolutionize this team. They'll get to the semis. So contrary to all the Turkey hate that I spew because I think they're an overrated fraud of a dark horse, I actually think they will qualify for 2030. I do think they'll get out of the group this time. I think 2026 was a valuable lesson. Turkey tends to need to hit rock bottom before they show some promise, like in Euros 2016 and 2020, before they did pretty well in 2024. Round of 32. Round of 30. You know what? I could see them winning a knockout stage game, actually. I could see them getting to the round of 16 for 2030. Scotland will not qualify for 2030. The Czech Republic will not qualify for 2030 either. Norway will qualify for 2030. It will not be a spectacular tournament like 2026 was. I think that they will get out of the group, but bow out in the round of 32. And this will come off the back of another deep run at Euro 2028, where I think they'll get to the semifinals. But after World Cup 2026 and Euro 2028, I think Norway, they'll need a little bit of a bad tournament to ground them a bit. Round of 32 exit. I think Austria will qualify for the World Cup in 2030. I actually don't think they'll get out of the group stages. I think they're going to have a crash out. Croatia will qualify for the World Cup in 2030. Possibly a good candidate to miss out because this is a waning golden generation of an aging team. I just think the number of spots that Europe gets, the experience at this level in qualifying, Croatia will do enough to make the tournament. I'm going to give them some respect here and say I think they'll make the round of 32, just like in 2026, but they'll go out at that same stage. Belgium will qualify for 2030. They do not have another quarterfinal run in them. They do not even have a round of 16 running them. I think they go out in the round of 32. France, presumably under Zinedine Zidane, if he is still in charge by then, in 2030, he takes over next month in September from Didier Deschamps. Will France have a fourth straight deep run? Will they make the World Cup final? Will they make it 3 out of 4 World Cup final trips? No, I actually think France will go out in the quarterfinals. I think they'll come undone against another powerhouse team. I do not think Bosnia and Herzegovina will qualify for 2030, with all due respect. Switzerland will qualify for 2030. They will get out of the group. They will win their first knockout stage game, and they'll go out in the round of 16. I have Sweden qualifying for 2030, but they're really tricky to predict. They always get out of the group stages of every World Cup they've participated in, and I think that will continue, but it'll be another round of 32 exit. Argentina, post-Messi. This will be interesting because I think Messi will be at Copa America in 2028. I don't think he'll be at the World Cup in 2030. The first major post-Messi tournament for Argentina. They'll qualify. They'll get out of the first round. They'll probably even win the round of 32. I think it could be a round of 16 exit. I was going to say quarterfinals out of respect for the history. I could see this being a round of 16 tops for Argentina in 2030. Paraguay will qualify for 2030. I don't know if Alfaro will be there. I hope he is. But I think they'll go out in the round of 32 this time. Colombia will qualify for the 2030 World Cup, and I think they will go one step further than they did in 2026, and they'll get to the quarterfinals. I think they will be one of, if not maybe the best performing of the... they'll go further than they did in 2026. I have a feeling Colombia is going to have a better World Cup than Argentina in 2030. They're getting to the quarterfinals. They may even make a case for the semis. I fully believe that. Uruguay will qualify for 2030. Will they have a third straight group stage exit? No, they will do enough this time to get out of the groups, but I could see them going out in the round of 32. I am disgusted by Ecuador's lack of an offense, and I thought they had a very disappointing World Cup in 2026. I am predicting Ecuador to fail to qualify for 2030. Yeah, you heard it here first. Brazil will qualify for 2030. I think Ancelotti will have a much better grasp of this team by then. They'll get to the quarterfinals, possibly even semis, but I'm going to say quarters for now, because I have to see more from this team. I have to see more promise in this future. Portugal under Jorge Jesus as a co-host in 2030. I think they break their knockout stage hoodoo, and they have another deep run for the first time since 2006, when they got to the semifinals. Portugal on home soil in the post-Ronaldo era, under new management, putting 2026 behind them. They are going to reach the semis, and I think they will finish with the bronze medal at this World Cup in 2030. England are going to reach the World Cup final in 2030, their first since 1966. They will enter that, in my opinion, as the reigning European champions, because my early prediction for Euro 2028 is that England will win it, finally, under Thomas Tuchel on home soil, and he will make it to World Cup 2030. Big calls here from Football Pharaoh, huh? And for Spain, as a co-host, probably hosting most of the games in 2030 as the reigning world champions, no less, it's the ideal perfect scenario for them. And I have Spain going back-to-back. They are my early prediction to add a third star to the crest to become only the third country in World Cup history to win back-to-back World Cups, the first in 60-plus years. France tried it in 2022 and fell just short. Argentina tried it this summer in 2026 and fell just short. It's third time's the charm. 3 times in a row, the defending champions of the world will get to the World Cup final. We're in a new era of the reverse World Cup curse, and this time Spain will join the Italian team of the 1930s, the Brazilian team of the 1960s, and they will go back-to-back on home soil in 2030.